Today, I will be telling you a story about love and deceit. Jerry and Judith had grown up together, sharing dreams, laughter, and promises. For 6 years, Judith had been more than just Jerry's love. She was like family to him and his parents. Her mother was no more, so she lived in the suburbs with her father and stepmother. Her father owned a small farm, and she worked tirelessly, helping out as often as possible while applying for jobs in the city. Usually she takes some of the farm produce to Jerry's family, who happens to live on the same street as her family. She spent a lot of time at his house, cooking meals, doing chores, and assisting his family wherever possible. His family loved and respected her deeply, hoping she would officially become their daughter-in-law someday. It didn't come as a surprise when Jerry declared his intentions to marry Judith. Jerry worked at an insurance company in the city, which was about a 20-minute drive from home. One day, Jerry went to deliver some documents to his clients at his office, and that was where he met Zara, the daughter of his client. She was a woman who lived in luxury and wealth. Jerry found himself staring rudely at her, captivated by her beauty, her style, and her poise. He found himself drawn to her, imagining the comfort her wealth could bring him. For a minute, he forgot his commitment to Judith. Zara brought him back to reality by saying, "Hello, how can I help you?" Jerry immediately came back to his senses and apologized for his rudeness. He explained the purpose of his visit, and inexplicably, they began to converse. Zara seemed to enjoy his company. He couldn't resist the temptation to ask her out for dinner, and to his surprise, she agreed. Before he left, he set the dinner date for Friday night. Jerry went home that evening, unable to get Zara off his mind. He couldn't believe his luck. How did such a beautiful and wealthy lady agree to go out with him? He couldn't keep his eyes off his phone as he chatted that night, oblivious to Judith, who seemed to be telling him about her day while he was busy on his phone. Friday finally came, and he did his best to look great. Judith asked him where he was going, and he lied to her that he was meeting a client. She didn't think much about it. The dinner went so well with Jerry and Zara having a wonderful time. They discussed a wide range of topics, including Judith. Jerry neglected to disclose that he was engaged or involved in a romantic relationship. Zara was captivated by Jerry's charms and found him to be a smooth talker. One dinner date quickly evolved into several dates as they began to develop a relationship. They started going to different places, with Jerry spending more time in the city. Jerry was living in luxury thanks to Zara, and he was also enjoying the care of homemade food and family support from Judith. Zara was captivating in her way, not with homemaking skills like Judith, but with sophistication and the allure of a wealthy life. Jerry was drawn to Zara's wealth, which allowed him to travel abroad, drive her luxury cars, dine in elegant restaurants, and attend social events. Thus, he initiated a second courtship, pledging to marry Zara as well. When Jerry's family noticed his growing distance from Judith, they grew concerned. His parents, knowing Judith's devotion, were heartbroken by Jerry's duplicity. They insisted he remain true and faithful to Judith, whom they saw as family. But Jerry, blinded by Zara's wealth, refused to listen, creating tension in his once close family. Meanwhile, he told Judith all kinds of lies to cover his unfaithfulness. He pretended to be traveling for work or spending time with his city-dwelling friends to stay close to his early workday. Judith had a feeling that something was wrong, but she trusted him. Most of Jerry's friends who knew about both women warned him, advising him against deceiving them. Yet one friend, Moses, encouraged his double life. He kept telling Jerry how he could have his cake and still eat it by remaining discreet. Moses held a secret grudge against Jerry and out of envy pushed him to keep both women, hoping it would lead to Jerry's downfall. Jerry's deception continued until Zara became pregnant. Unknown to Judith, this news delighted Jerry, who hoped a child would secure his place in Zara's wealthy family. But as he tried to juggle both relationships, his double life became more complicated, putting pressure on him and leading him to neglect Zara. One fateful day, while Jerry was spending time with Judith, Zara called him several times, but he wouldn't pick up. She was so worried and lost in her thoughts that she slipped and fell. When she got up, she noticed she was bleeding profusely. Fear gripped her, and she tried calling Jerry, but he was unreachable. Eventually, her driver took her to the hospital, where they informed her that she had lost the baby. Heartbroken and devastated, she felt lonely, realizing Jerry wasn't there when she needed him most. Her sorrow turned into a suspicion that Jerry might be hiding something from her, because every time he went to his family home, he was usually unreachable and always blamed it on the network service. That hadn't been an issue previously. Jerry finally returned her missed calls, learned about the accident, and hurried to be by Zara's side. He made up another excuse for his absence. She was too upset with the loss of the baby to process what was going on. The hospital discharged her a few days later. One day, Zara sat in her elegant living room, staring out the window as she reflected on Jerry's absence during her time of need. Her trust in him had begun to waver, and she wondered if his feelings had ever been genuine. This seed of doubt planted itself deeply in her heart, sparking questions about the man she thought she loved. Little did she know, her doubts would only deepen in the coming days. Meanwhile, Judith, in her modest home, had her own suspicions. She noticed Jerry's distracted behavior and sensed something was amiss. Despite his promises, he seemed distant, and she wondered if he was hiding something from her. She chose to stay silent for now, unsure of what to think. One day, Zara overheard a friend speaking about Jerry's close relationship with a suburban woman named Judith. Surprised, Zara asked more questions, and her friend hesitated, sensing Zara's growing distress. Determined, Zara eventually learned enough to realize Jerry had been seeing another woman all along. Judith too heard rumors. People in the community where they lived had started to whisper about Jerry's supposed wealth, his connections to a wealthy city woman, and the double life he seemed to be living. Her heart ached as she started piecing together the hints of his betrayal. Zara couldn't hold in her anger any longer. She decided to seek out Judith to confirm her suspicions and understand the truth. So she hired a private investigator. However, fate brought Zara and Judith together at a farmer's market. Judith had gone to the market, as she always did while waiting for a job, to assist her father in selling some of the farm produce. Zara visited the market to purchase some organic fruits. Judith and Zara met during their high school years, participating in a spelling bee competition as representatives of their respective schools. Judith, who attended a public school, was usually at the top of her class, while Zara, who attended a private school, was equally at the top of her class. They saw each other at the market after all these years. They had a lot to talk about. Zara was surprised that she was selling at the market, considering how brilliant she was. Judith had to explain the challenges she has had. Even after sending her resume to various companies, she was unable to secure a job. The ladies agreed to meet up for lunch the next day. As their friendship grew, Judith and Zara exchanged stories about everything. They both spoke about their different high schools, hobbies, and relationships. When Judith discussed her fiancé, Zara could sense her sadness, even though she refrained from probing further due to her own personal issues. Ever since she lost her pregnancy, she couldn't let go of the feeling that something was not right in her relationship. Judith spoke of her 6 years of love, loyalty, and selfless acts, while Zara explained how she had been promised the world, only to be left alone when she needed her boyfriend the most. Unknown to them, they were talking about the same man, Jerry. Zara received a call from the private investigator she had hired, who had gathered sufficient evidence to confirm Jerry's involvement in another relationship. He sent the pictures he had taken to Zara, whose heart sank. Zara realized that she was the other woman, and that Jerry had deceived them. The investigator confirmed that Judith had no idea of Jerry's unfaithfulness and was also a victim of love. Zara debated whether to inform Judith of her findings or not, because she knew how heartbroken her friend would be. After a lengthy deliberation, she decided to inform her, as she suspected Judith was shattered. Each woman's tale illuminated the depths of Jerry's selfishness, creating a newfound solidarity between them as they found solace in one another. This bond fueled their determination to confront Jerry. They decided to gather evidence, showing each other notes, promises, and memories that painted the full picture of his deceit. With each revelation, their resolve strengthened. Together, they plotted a way to confront Jerry. Zara invited him to her house, and she also extended an invitation to Judith. They intended to create a sense of surprise and challenge him in his own game. As planned, Jerry arrived at Zara's house the following day and was about to kiss the reluctant Zara when, to his utter surprise, Judith stepped out of the house, leaving Jerry stunned and speechless. The two women expressed their grievances, and at first Jerry tried to deny them, fumbling over excuses and half-truths, but Judith and Zara saw right through his attempts. As the harsh light of day unraveled his lies, Jerry began to panic, realizing that his strategy had failed. He pleaded with each woman separately, but neither would hear it. They turned and walked away, leaving him to ponder the emptiness of his schemes. As news of Jerry's deception spread, his friends confronted him about his actions. Most were disappointed, questioning his character and wondering how he could betray two loyal women. While some tried to offer support, others grew distant, sensing the growing troubles surrounding him and not wanting to be associated with someone they considered dishonest. Moses, the only friend who had secretly encouraged Jerry's duplicity, seemed almost smug. He quietly observed Jerry's troubles with a sense of justified bitterness. Jerry, oblivious to Moses' hidden resentment, found himself leaning on him more than ever. Jerry's actions devastated his family back at home. His mother, who had always admired Judith's kindness and loyalty, was heartbroken that her son could treat her so poorly. She scolded him, reminding him of his abandoned morals and values, and warning him that nothing good could come from dishonesty. His father, usually a quiet man, expressed his disappointment as well. "If you can betray those who love you most, then you'll soon find yourself standing alone," he said. Jerry dismissed their concerns, too stubborn to see the truth in their words. He told his parents that Judith would forgive him, and things would return to the way they were. With Zara's unwillingness to forgive him, Jerry's financial stability began to falter. Zara, once willing to provide for him, cut back on her support, leaving Jerry scrambling to make ends meet as he was previously struggling with his insurance career. His carefree life grew tense as he struggled to keep up appearances without her resources to fall back on, considering he had resigned from his job even after Zara disapproved. Desperate for money, Jerry reached out to his friends for small loans, claiming he would pay them back soon. But his friends noticed his increasingly erratic behavior and began refusing, leaving him in a financial bind he hadn't anticipated. While Jerry's life was unraveling, Judith was finding new strength and independence. With Zara's support, she secured a job in the city, something she had never thought possible before with all the rejections she got. The opportunity gave her a newfound sense of purpose, and she was able to begin focusing on herself and her future. Her transformation was remarkable, as Judith slowly distanced herself from the life she had once lived for Jerry. She embraced her work and her new life, proving to herself that she didn't need Jerry to thrive. For Zara, the journey was just beginning. She began to recognize that she had neglected the importance of domestic chores like cooking, as she had consistently depended on her affluence and privilege. Her friendship with Judith taught her a deeper appreciation for domestic skills, which are qualities she wanted to cultivate within herself. Zara's inner transformation began to show in her actions. She started volunteering at the community library and shelters, helping those in need and spending less time focusing on material comforts. Her heart softened as she took inspiration from Judith's selflessness. Jerry found himself growing more isolated as word continued to spread in his community. Former friends stopped inviting him to gatherings, and people who once admired him turned away, disgusted by his actions. His double life had left a trail of broken trust, and now he had no one left to turn to. Even his parents kept their distance, unwilling to support him in his disgrace. Alone and dejected, Jerry began to feel the weight of his actions more deeply than ever. One day, Zara ran into Moses, who tried to justify his encouragement of Jerry's behavior. Unimpressed by his reasoning, Zara confronted him, realizing that he had used Jerry's downfall for his own gain. "You may have fed his ego, but you've only shown your true colors," she told him. She exposed his manipulations, taking Moses aback. His own standing in the community grew precarious as people learned of his role in Jerry's deception. When they gained courage, Judith and Zara felt it was time to implement their strategy. In order to uncover Jerry's deception, they reached out to friends and acquaintances from the past and carefully shared their stories. Soon, everyone in the town knew the truth about Jerry's betrayal, and his reputation was in ruins. As Jerry's lies continued to surface, his financial and social life collapsed. Jerry faced only his regrets and the consequences of his actions. Judith and Zara found themselves in a deep conversation one evening about the idea of forgiveness. Judith, despite being hurt by Jerry's betrayal, found peace in the realization that she had finally witnessed his true nature. Zara, however, still harbored anger and bitterness. She couldn't understand why Judith would even consider forgiveness. "Forgiveness isn't for him," Judith explained softly. "It's for us, to be free of the hurt he caused." This planted a new seed in Zara's heart, one that would slowly grow with time. The women decided to move forward, focusing on their friendship and newfound independence. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, but it did mean they could heal without carrying the weight of resentment. Meanwhile, Jerry's desperation grew. Jerry found every door firmly shut, and his remaining friends began to distance themselves. In a final attempt to salvage his life, Jerry sought out Judith's family, hoping they might offer some support. He promised them he had changed, insisting he was ready to do whatever it took to earn Judith's forgiveness. But Judith's family, who had always adored her, saw through his pleas. They kindly yet firmly reminded Jerry that actions had consequences and that Judith was no longer tied to his fate. It was the harsh reality he needed but didn't want to accept. Zara's heart softened as her friendship with Judith deepened. The two women began spending more time together, supporting each other through the lingering pain and heartache Jerry had left behind. They discovered shared dreams and similar values, forming a bond that felt like sisterhood. They started going to the local markets together, sharing laughs and memories. For both women, this friendship was a blessing, a reminder that even in betrayal, something beautiful could emerge. Moses, Jerry's envious friend who had encouraged his deceit, began to feel pangs of guilt. He hadn't expected Jerry's downfall to affect him so deeply, nor had he anticipated the pain he had caused the innocent women. People in the community, familiar with Jerry's role in the greatest betrayal of all time, viewed him with suspicion and questioned his loyalty and motives everywhere he went. Being unable to take it anymore, Moses decided to meet up with Zara and Judith to apologize. While Judith was quick to forgive, Zara remained guarded. "People's lives aren't games, Moses," she told him. "We've all learned something from this, but some wounds take longer to heal." As Zara continued her journey of self-reflection, she realized she could use her wealth to make a real difference. She offered Judith help in expanding her family's farm, providing seeds, tools, and connections to new markets. Judith, overwhelmed with gratitude, was hesitant to accept such generosity. However, Zara convinced her. "You're not alone in this, Judith. We both deserve to thrive," she said with a smile. Together, they set out to make Judith's farm a thriving success, symbolizing their shared resilience and newfound hope. Jerry was so determined to repair his reputation that he made an effort to participate in philanthropic activities in the hopes of regaining the affection of the residents of the town. However, his actions appeared insincere, as the majority of people were aware of his story of betrayal and his financial struggles. Despite his attempts to buy forgiveness from others, he encountered mockery instead of respect. Many people rejected the efforts he made. The realization that he couldn't manipulate his way out of this humbled Jerry. For the first time, he was forced to reflect deeply on his actions and the pain he'd caused those who once trusted him. One night, Judith had a vivid dream of herself standing on her family's lush farmland, surrounded by rows of crops ready to harvest. She awoke feeling inspired, believing it was a sign of prosperity to come. She shared the dream with Zara, who encouraged her to work toward making it a reality. This dream became a guiding light for Judith, helping her focus on rebuilding her life and her family's future. She embraced the hard work ahead, feeling renewed strength with each passing day. She worked in the city on weekdays and on the farm on weekends. Zara, too, had a powerful experience. She attended a local gathering and witnessed a deep sense of community and kindness. For the first time in her life, she felt truly connected to those around her, realizing the power of community over material wealth. Inspired, Zara decided to use her resources to benefit others, setting up a fund for local children's education and starting a small community library. Her wealth, she realized, could mean so much more if used selflessly. Judith's kindness and newfound confidence began to draw attention. During a visit to the market, she met Emeka, a young, hard-working businessman who admired her warmth and generosity. Their meeting was brief, but it left a lasting impression on both of them. Emeka began visiting the market more frequently, hoping to see Judith again. She, in turn, was surprised by the growing excitement she felt at the thought of their next encounter. In his solitude, Jerry began to feel a deep sense of remorse. He realized that his love for material wealth had cost him everything of true value, leaving him with nothing but regret. The bustling community he once knew was now filled with familiar faces that no longer greeted him. He spent his days wandering aimlessly, haunted by memories of the life he had lost. One day, while helping out at the community library, Zara met Bayo, a traveling scholar with a love for knowledge and a passion for teaching. They connected over their shared love for learning, and Zara found herself drawn to his humility and intelligence. As their friendship blossomed, Zara felt herself changing. She admired Bayo's kindness and genuine interest in making a difference. She gradually started envisioning a future where shared values, not wealth, would be the foundation of love. Rumors of Judith and Emeka's growing closeness reached Jerry, adding salt to his wounds. Seeing her smile and laugh with another man reminded him of what he had lost. He struggled to accept that Judith had moved on, but deep down he knew he was to blame. He watched from afar, filled with jealousy and remorse, yet unable to find the courage to confront his past mistakes fully. Zara noticed Judith's growing fondness for Emeka and encouraged her to embrace the possibility of love again. She reminded Judith of her worth, telling her she deserved happiness and someone who would cherish her. This encouragement gave Judith the confidence to open her heart once more, knowing she had her family and Zara's unwavering support. The two women had transformed from unknown rivals into friends who genuinely cared about each other's well-being. Driven by loneliness, Jerry made one final attempt to reach out to Judith, hoping to convince her to give him another chance. He promised that he had changed and was willing to do whatever it took to prove his sincerity. But it was too late, and Judith saw through his empty words. She told him she had found a new path and had no intention of looking back. Jerry left, his heart heavy with the reality that he had truly lost her. Meanwhile, Emeka, realizing the depth of his love for Judith, met with her father and requested her hand in marriage. With her father's blessings, he went to her office and proposed to her, honoring her in a way that reflected his genuine respect and love for her. His proposal deeply moved Judith, a realization that she had found someone who valued her for her true self. She felt a sense of joy she hadn't felt in years. On the other hand, Zara and Bayo continued to grow closer, sharing their dreams and values. They often talked about their shared vision for a better community, and Bayo encouraged Zara to pursue her passions. Zara found new ways to use her wealth to benefit others. Inspired by Judith's influence, she began investing in community projects that would uplift the village, creating opportunities for others who were less fortunate. From helping the local farmers to funding education for young children, Zara's transformation was clear for all to see. The townspeople came to admire Zara for her compassion and generosity. She was no longer the wealthy, aloof woman, but a valued part of the community, someone who had grown from her past and embraced her role in making a difference. In Bayo, Zara found someone who valued her mind and spirit, inspiring her to embrace a new sense of purpose. Their love blossomed naturally, rooted in mutual respect and shared goals. A large group of people celebrated Judith and Emeka's engagement, wishing them many blessings and best wishes. Zara was there by Judith's side, beaming with pride, knowing that her friend was full of happiness. The celebration marked the beginning of a new phase in Judith's life, one that was filled with love, joy, and achievements. The people admired her for her strength, seeing her journey as a testament to the power of forgiveness and self-respect. As she and Emeka prepared for their wedding, Judith was filled with overwhelming joy. She felt as if she was finally stepping into her destiny, surrounded by loved ones and supported by Zara. Her heart was full of gratitude for Emeka and her path here. She spent her days planning the wedding, choosing vibrant, colorful decorations, and preparing special gifts for her family and friends who had been there for her through everything. Her happiness was infectious, bringing a renewed sense of hope and celebration to her community. As he wandered through the empty streets, Jerry finally began to confront his mistakes in earnest. For so long, he had blamed others for his downfall, but now, alone and isolated, he couldn't ignore the truth. His greed and deceit had hurt the two women who had cared for him deeply and had led to the loss of his reputation, friendships, and happiness. In the silence of his solitude, Jerry realized he had no one to blame but himself. He thought of Judith's kindness and Zara's generosity, both of which he had taken for granted. Regret filled his heart, but he knew it was too late to undo the damage. Bayo, who had grown deeply in love with Zara, finally decided to take their relationship to the next level. He proposed to her under a moonlit sky, sharing his dreams for a future built on love, respect, and purpose. Zara, moved by his sincerity and the love they shared, joyfully accepted, knowing she had found a partner who valued her for who she was, not what she had. The community where they volunteered celebrated their engagement. The people had come to respect and admire both Zara and Bayo. They saw in them a beautiful example of redemption and growth, a reminder that everyone has the potential to change. As Judith and Zara prepared for their weddings, their old and new community came together to honor and celebrate these remarkable women who had shown strength and resilience through hardship. The people wanted to show their gratitude for the way Judith and Zara had uplifted the community. They held a special feast in their honor, filled with music, dancing, and blessings for the future. Judith and Zara planned a joint wedding day. Their friendships and newfound joy had brought them closer than ever, and they wanted to celebrate this beautiful chapter together. Friends and family from far and near gathered to witness the union of Judith and Emeka and Zara and Bayo. Gold and white decorations beautifully adorned the wedding hall. The brides and grooms looked stunning in their bridal gowns and tuxedos. The festivities were vibrant, with music, food, and laughter filling the air. Everyone celebrated late into the night, rejoicing in the happiness of the two women who had brought so much light and hope to their community. For years to come, people would remember this day of pure joy. The next morning, Jerry quietly packed his belongings and left the town. With nothing left to keep him there, he set out on a journey to start anew, carrying with him the lessons of his past. As he walked away from the only life he had known, Jerry knew he would have to work hard to rebuild his life and character. The journey ahead was uncertain, but he resolved to carry the lessons he had learned, hoping that one day he could find peace and redemption. The story served as a powerful lesson, reminding everyone of the importance of honesty, respect, and gratitude in relationships. Greed and dishonesty only lead to ruin, while kindness and integrity bring true happiness. If you were in Judith or Zara's shoes, how would you have responded to Jerry's betrayal? If you were in Jerry's shoes, what would you have done differently? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I truly appreciate your support and would love for you to be part of our growing community. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as your engagement helps us grow, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an inspiring and entertaining video. See you in the next one.